In today's news, Premier sends condolences to the family of Kemo Lettsome. Action plan requested from NSC. And Premier and Deputy to head to the United Kingdom on first official business trip since the election. Voting tourism in the Virgin Islands. Is it legal? And HLSCC Stingray showcase. And finally, Premier provides post-election updates. So viewers, these and more stories when 284 News return. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Lonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy. Well, welcome viewers to the Tuesday, May 2nd edition of 284 News. I am Kamal Haynes, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Well, leading today's news, Premier Dr. the Honourable Natalia Wheatley has sent his condolences to the family of Kemo Lettsome, who was recently gunned down in the East End Longlock community. Well, this is the second gun-related murder to occur within the East End community in 2023 and the third murder by a firearm this year in the BVI. Well, speaking at a press conference on Tuesday, May 2nd, Premier Wheatley said the recent murder of Lettsome has shaken up the East End Longlock community.
I want to extend my heartfelt and deepest condolences to the family and friends of my cousin, Mr. Kemo Lettsome, another young man who has lost his life to gun violence. His murder has deeply hurt his loved ones and the wider District 7 community. The murders we are experiencing are a very worrying development for us as a territory.
Premier Wheatley said the incident has resulted in the National Security Council having an emergency meeting to discuss plans on how best to tackle crime in the territory.
Yesterday, His Excellency the Governor, Mr. John J. Ranking, CMG, convened a meeting of the National Security Council, which I attended along with the Minister for Communications and Works, Honorable Kai Reimer, and other members of the Council to discuss the situation. We are resolved that more must be done to arrest crime and solve murder cases. I have requested of the National Security Council an action plan to confront the challenge of violent crime in our community so it can be rooted out from these Virgin Islands. Later today, the Governor and I will be making a joint statement, making a firm commitment to tackling crime and preserving our security. These senseless deaths must stop. It is imperative that we remove illegal guns from our Virgin Islands now. It is time for action, and your government will make this a top priority.
Premier Wheatley also appealed to the general public to come forward with any information that can assist the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force with their investigations into the matter.
I call on everyone to do their part, including providing information to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, which can be done anonymously. I also urge you to report any suspicious activity that you see taking place in your neighborhood. The fight against violent crime cannot be won without the support of the community.
Premier Dr. the Honourable Natalia Wheatley and Deputy Premier Honourable Lorna Smith will be heading to the United Kingdom on their first official business trip since being elected. Premier Wheatley made a disclosure during a press conference today where he stated that he will be departing the territory on Wednesday to attend the coronation of King Charles III. But he said both him and Smith will subsequently attend the Overseas Territories Joint Ministerial Council meeting, which will also be held in the United Kingdom.
More immediately, I will travel to London on Wednesday to attend the coronation of King Charles III. I will then attend the Joint Ministerial Council between the United Kingdom and the Overseas Territories Ministers. I will be joined at the JMC by Deputy Premier Lorna Smith, whose wealth of experience as a former director of the BVI London office and executive director of BVI Finance will add great value to my delegation.
Our Premier Wheatley also revealed plans to resume engagement with stakeholders in the United Kingdom, which will also include meeting with the UK Overseas Territories Minister, Lord Goldsmith.
Honourable Smith and I will also resume engagement with our UK partners to continue the process of building a new, modern partnership that is stable and supports the aspirations of the people of the Virgin Islands. Among other things, we will meet the UK OT Minister Lord Goldsmith, other UK ministers, and the BVI All-Party Parliamentary Group in the United Kingdom Parliament to discuss how the UK government can support my administration's agenda on reform, economic resilience, infrastructure, sustainable development, climate change, environment, education, health and security.
Well, up next, voting tourism in the Virgin Islands. Is it legal? And the H. Laverty Stout Community College Stingray Showcase. But these are more stories after a word from our sponsors.
Yo, everything good there?
Aye. This thing got me one way, daddy.
What you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this thing like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I hot. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Introducing a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons. I'm taking you outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's the best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Virgin Gorda to Jos Van Dyke, not forgetting Anegada. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing. We are the movers and shakers of this generation. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman. Season 4 by yours truly, Ron Grant. Raising a generation of greatness. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on 284 Media.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Welcome back, viewers. Well, it is commonly said that it is a practice of dual citizenship holders of the British Virgin Islands and the United States Virgin Islands to participate in a sort of voter tourism between the two territories, whereby an individual will register to vote in both territories and act on that registration by traveling to the territory where they do not reside in time of election in order to cast their vote. But while it is a known practice, is it legal? Well, the answer depends on which territory's legal system upon which it is based. A USVI Board of Elections member for St. Thomas, St. John, Ms. Harriet Mercer, spoke candidly on the issue during a recent interview with our news desk.
When we register to vote in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we sign a waiver, okay, on our registration cards. I don't know if you do it here, but you raise your right hand and you say you will not vote in any other jurisdiction, foreign or domestic, even the United States, okay, domestic. You wouldn't do that while voting or register to vote in the U.S. Virgin Islands. If your territory allows it, whereby you, as a, it's under two different flags. So you got to give a little, leeway here. And when you're under two different flags, you can't control one or the other. They're both sovereign. Yeah. We know that. So once your supervisor here allows the people of this territory to go, and not her, but the laws, allow the voters of this territory to travel to St. Thomas or the U.S. Virgin Islands, that's okay. I can't get into that, But once they get there, should they be allowed to vote? When, because like I say, it's only dealing with the waiver, yes. Only deals with those that are registered there. That actually, so if they came over, they'd still have to register over by us as well. So it's a very interesting thing that does need some fleshing out, some analysis, and determine if, in fact, even though the supervisor here or the law here would allow them to come, would we allow them to enter to vote?
Well, in the British Virgin Islands, the Constitution outlines a qualified voter as a person belonging to the Virgin Islands, domiciled and residents in the Virgin Islands, or domiciled in the Virgin Islands while being resident of the United States Virgin Islands, who is above the age of 18 on the qualifying date. Well, Sections 14 of the Elections Act speaks specifically to the ability of a USVI resident to apply as voters in the BVI, and advises that they apply to the supervisor of elections and will be added to the preliminary voter list should the supervisor of elections be satisfied that the applicant had provided evidence that they are qualified to vote in the BVI. However, the existing laws in the United States Virgin Islands suggest that it is illegal for USVI voters to participate in BVI elections and vice versa. Well, not only does the law within the Virgin Islands Code state that USVI residency is a mandatory qualification for electors, the exceptions facilitated by absentee voting, which allows citizens living temporarily or permanently outside of the USVI to participate in voting, require that voters swear under penalty of perjury that they are not registered, requesting a ballot, or voting in any jurisdiction in the U.S. or foreign country. But therefore, active voters in the BVI would be unqualified to vote in the USVI. Furthermore, persons who willfully vote in a USVI election despite being unqualified under law are committing the act of illegal voting. But the Virgin Islands Code speaks to illegal voting as follows. Whoever willfully being unqualified to vote at an election votes thereat shall, even though not challenged, be fined not more than $500 or imprisoned no more than 1 year, or both. But such vote shall not invalidate the entire election, end quote. Now, moving on, viewers, where this Thursday, May 4th, 2023, the H. Lavity Stout Community College will be hosting their annual Stingray Showcase, where students get to present to prospective employers and the wider BVI community their work. The Director of the Culinary Art Program, Mrs. Keisha Davies Barnes, and Dean of Arts, Sciences and General Studies, Dr. Jasmat Yamraj, spoke about the upcoming showcase and what can be expected.
The showcase is definitely an opportunity for our students to highlight the work that they've been doing at the college. Most of our participants are actually senior students, so they'll be graduating. It's going to provide an opportunity for the public to see the kinds of works that our students would be able to produce. So many of them have capstone courses, so what they've done is that they've taken skills, knowledge from the previous courses, and at the end of the program they're able to produce a product that persons in the public can see of what they're able to do. So for example, our computer studies program, we have about 12 projects, and these students are coming up with new ways to solve problems for businesses, some of the statutory bodies, whether it's a point of sales system, inventory apps, flyers, promotional materials, and lots of other things that would allow the businesses to be rebranded and more noticed.
Well, Dr. Jasmati Yamraj also spoke about how this is a win for both students and employers.
In the past, we've had opportunities for our students to do internships. So businesses would have visited the showcase, for example, last year, and some of the telecoms company have actually invited students to do summer internships because of what they saw presented. Many of the POSs and inventory apps are actually bought by the companies that the students work with. So it's definitely a win-win.
Well, Yamraj also spoke about the additional field students will be presenting.
So the business students are also going to be highlighted. So in the small business program, we have about 5 students that have started their own companies, or we have one person who had a company actually, and the skills that she's gotten in that program has allowed her to solve many of the problems she's had before and expand. So we have students who will be presenting in cosmetics, decorating, we have someone launching a fitness apparel business. So it's definitely going to be exciting. It's much bigger than it was last year.
Great.
And we also have some accounting students who would be looking into doing a demo on fraud and the impacts that might have on the community as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be very interesting. The technical students are also presenting again this year, and their assignment is to create a building or a home on Anegada, so they have to consider all the factors that they've learned over the years about the topography there, how to do construction. Obviously, we know Anegada is quite flat.
Yes.
So digging down may not be an option. So they've designed a strip mall, vacation home, and various other types of dwellings specific to Anegada.
Well, on the culinary aspect, Director Barnes also shared what the public can expect.
I'm so excited. I'm so proud of the students. This year, like Dr. Yamraj said, we have expanded. Last year we had 7 cakes. This year we have 14 cakes.
Wow.
And we've also added an additional category. So this year we have our wedding cake category, and we also have our cake or edible arrangements, and we also have some sugar work where the students will be able to demonstrate through their own creativity, you know, what it is like, what they would like to see in the future in the industry. And some of the cakes, when I saw them yesterday, I was so amazed. I was like, wherever did y'all come up with these concepts? We have marble cakes, we have cakes with holes in them, we have sugar works made out of anchors, we have edible creations out of vegetables and out of fruit. And every time we put this Stingray show on, it always brings joy to me because I get to see the creativity in the students, and we get to put the students out there so that, you know, people, especially in the hospitality industry, given the fact that right now, you know, one would say that in our industry that we have a search that we can't really find to be able to fill the industry with the possible, you know, the human resources necessary. And with these students, I am very proud to say that, you know, hoteliers, restaurateurs, anybody, just come out and take a look at the creativity of these students, the discipline, the time it took for them to be able to create these pieces. And you know, who knows, you might find your next employee when you come to the show.
Well, that full interview can be viewed on all 284 media platforms. Well, up next, Premier provides post-election update and Little Hill Stories book launch. Well, these stories when 284 News return.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man, forget that.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want to talk about?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back, viewers. Our Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley provided a post-election update on Tuesday, May 2nd, making it clear that he has set his eyes on restoring the confidence of the electorate in the political processes of the Virgin Islands. For voters who came out to exercise their democratic rights on April 24th, the Premier sent his thanks, and for those who chose not to, he has pledged his commitment to ensuring that the territory's political systems deliver for everyone.
I again want to thank everyone who exercised their right to vote and will do everything in my power to restore the confidence of those persons who did not vote in the general elections. The only way to accomplish this is to ensure that the political system delivers for everyone, which I'm committed to achieving.
But the Premier went on to explain the restructuring of the cabinet, which has allowed for the formation of a ministry, the Ministry of Financial Services, Labour and Trade, to which Deputy Premier Honorable Lorna Smith OBE has been assigned. Another notable change to the structure of the cabinet is the expansion of the Premier's portfolio to include natural resources.
I remain the Premier and Minister of Finance, and I'm also the Minister with responsibility for natural resources that now sits within the Premier's office. I will be supported in my ministerial responsibilities by Dr. the Honorable Cal Dawson, Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries, and the Honorable Luce Hard-Smith, Junior Minister for Tourism and Culture. The Honorable Lorna Smith OBE is Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services, Labour and Trade. This is a new and necessary ministerial portfolio that places these three interrelated subjects and others under one ministry, which will allow for greater policy coherence in their administration. We had discussed the establishment of a financial services ministry for a long time, and Honorable Smith is highly qualified and competent to successfully lead and oversee the new ministry. The Honorable Kai Reimer remains Minister for Communications and Works and is a member of the National Security Council. He will lead on our much-needed infrastructural development and improvement. The Honorable Shari De Castro remains Minister of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports. Her competency will deliver better outcomes in education, youth development, and athletics, among other sports. Finally, the Honorable Vincent Wheatley is Minister of Health and Social Development. He will lead our efforts to fix the national health insurance, to deliver better medical care in the territory, including the sister islands, and to fix the incinerator problem once and for all.
Premier Wheatley spoke on the heels of an orientation exercise for the members of Cabinet and assured that the newly elected officials are ready to serve and deliver for the people of the Virgin Islands.
Yesterday, an orientation session for members of Cabinet was conducted to ensure everyone has a clear understanding of what is required and what is expected of them. At the level of the public service, permanent secretaries are in the process of being briefed on their assignments and their respective ministries, as well as ongoing initiatives which are taking place within the ministries.
While Little Hill Stories takes us to the 1950s and the boyhood days of Roosevelt George in North Sound, a traditional village of Virgin Gorda in the Virgin Islands. Adventure, mischief, classroom and church experiences, zombie fights, and the chores of boys and girls come alive in chapters like The Lesson, Sunday's Sin, Trant, and Water Woes. Well, Little Hill Stories is also an engaging commentary on the North Sound life back in the day, where it is an appendix of fun activities for teachers, students, parents, and community centers, and a glossary. But some of the words and terms are no longer used in the Virgin Islands or the Caribbean in general. Recently, author Janice George Harris spoke to our Ron Grant on the upcoming launch.
I really wanted to honor my dad and keep some of him with us for generations to come. And not just him, but my aunts and uncles and all those individuals or ancestors from Little Hill on North Sound, Virgin Gorda. And so I thought of what has he contributed to us. And I thought of the stories that he told us over the years, and he still continues to tell. And all of those stories teach about morals and values and a different type of life that we are having now. And so I decided the best way I can do him justice and his stories justice is to have it in the form of a book that will reach students, young people, and encourage boys especially to read, because, you know, it was a group of young boys. My dad and his siblings, mainly boys in his age group, they would have so much mischief, so much fun, delightful fun. And I feel that this is a book that I can see students really enjoying, and not just students, all of us, because all of us like stories.
Yes.
Who doesn't like a good story?
A good story, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mrs. Harris took time to share an excerpt from the book as well.
So very, very short. So let me just give you a little bit of context, okay? So Uncle Sam, he skipped school one day and he went fishing.
Okay.
And of course, when you have your catch as a young boy, who's thinking of school? So he stayed home, he cooked. But here's what happened.
Interesting.
Something happened because he saw a hat coming up the hill. Intuitively knowing the owner of the hat and the reason for being there at this time of the day, Sam gobbled a few more mouthfuls as quickly as he could. He was just about to hide when the wide-brimmed straw hat entered the yard and stopped. A quick look towards the entrance told Sam all he needed to know. It was the head teacher. He had come to take Sam to school.
Well, Harris shared one of her favorite parts about the book and creating it.
Quite interestingly, I love the artwork.
Okay, nice, nice. And as you can see, viewers, by the artwork, it pops. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have a number of gifts, and being an artist is just one of them. And although, yes, I'm gifted with writing as well, for me with the book, it's just being able to recreate what life looked like back then. And I actually sat with my dad and tried to recreate it. So I would listen to him and ask questions. Okay, so what was your schoolhouse like? And he would describe, and I would try to get all the details, even to the type of tree that was in the yard and steps leading up to the school. What
the
type
specifics.
Yeah. And when I completed it and I showed it to him in the book, he's like, yes. So I'm like, yes, I nailed it.
You got it.
Well, viewers, for the full interview, you can visit all 284 media platforms. But that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. Bye-bye.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Kids, let's go! Sean, what are you doing?
I solved it. We'll buy our life insurance policy from this company and then go